I have not done a Zach Sang Show interview in quite a while. I actually haven't done any interviews in quite a while. And so this is going to be Louis Tomlinson, Zach Sang, talking faith in the future, Zayn, his son Freddie, and he calls out Zach. They did this interview about like 3 or 4 days ago. It's about an hour long. So let's get right into it.
Full human, I'm Zach. That's Stan. Welcome to the studio, Louis Tomlinson.
Freaking Dan.
Great round of applause that was, lads. Nice.
Starting off strong.
Yeah, come on. We're excited to have you.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's great.
He's
Great.
like, I
Do you know,
can
there's
feel
been a
it.
few weird ones like that on this
feel it.
promo run. Like, on one of them, I walked in and the woman introduced me and she was like, "Can we give him a standing ovation?" I swear to God, it's the eggiest fucking shit in my life. I was like, stand there like, hello.
By the way, like,
This is gonna be funny. I remember his last interview. It's more just listening and laughing because one, his accent's hilarious. The way he talks is just funny. Just stand there or stood. He might have just said stood there, but he's just funny.
I don't really ask somebody to give you a standing ovation. It just
Very true.
happens.
Very true. Yeah.
Like, people are just, they're moved to do it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's been a good week though, man. I did a few of them like album listening parties this week, so my fans had a chance to listen to a couple of tunes. So it's been my first time where, because I've had this album for like at least like 9 months now, so it's now been the first time that I've actually kind of got an idea of what people make of these tunes that I've had for so long.
9 months you've had the album, but
It would be interesting to go back real quick and listen, just speed through the first interview that he did with Zach and kind of see like his demeanor and how he was and just whatnot. Because I know he was very different during Walls versus how he is now, and in a good way. And so it would just be interesting to like compare the two. So I might do that once I'm done with this, actually.
But when do you get the name Faith in the Future? Because it appeared first on banners in the crowd.
Yeah.
Did that inspire the name at all?
No,
he already had it.
I will take full credit for this one. It's so basically in lockdown, for whatever reason, that phrase found its way onto my lap and it spoke to me in a certain way. I wanted this album to feel more hopeful than my last record, and I think it does that from the off in that statement. But the reason that the fans had made banners and stuff of it is because about I want to say 9 months ago, but not everything happened 9 months ago. But about 9 months ago, roughly, I put out on my social media, on Twitter, I just put that phrase out, faith in the future, in isolation, with no context. And I just felt there was this kind of magic around that phrase. So I kind of built the album around that phrase.
What gave you, did you see tangibly hope? Like what?
I think that's something that a lot of people would relate to. Either wanting to have faith in the future or they do have faith in the future. That's how I would view it. You either already have it or you're wanting to have it. So I feel like people connect with that a lot, which is probably why it feels like it caught on and struck a chord with people.
I think that's another reason why I like the title, because I'm not going to lie, like, it kind of defines my own individual journey, really, personally, professionally. I've had to have faith in the future, my own future, professionally, personally, whatever that might be.
You also have a kid.
Yes.
When you look at
there's
your
the future right there.
That's a tangible,
Yeah,
physical
literal future.
representation of like your future, society's future. You have to have faith in it.
Yeah, and also like it just, you know, I felt like a good time to put something out. When I actually came up with the idea, I'm pretty sure the first time I thought about that phrase, no, I'm certain on this, COVID hadn't happened. And then COVID
Really?
happened and it just felt too appropriate. And of course we can focus on the glass half empty if we want to, but why not focus on glass being half full?
I think that's the right approach to life. But does that all? Did you always look at things like that?
Yeah, I am pretty. I would say I'm pretty lucky. It's not that I have like the inability to worry, but it doesn't. Those thoughts never last very long in my head because there's always been, especially that profession. It's been too much for me to want to prove, or there's so much left for me to achieve. So all those things kind of motivate me on those like down days.
Isn't that a pretty cool thing to actually come to terms with? Is that there's so much more for you to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, definitely given the context of my experience in One Direction. I mean, you know, without blowing our own trumpets, so to speak.
You don't need to.
You know, we did it all in the band.
Yeah,
So, like,
no,
that's been an interesting thing for me, is kind of redefining what that word success means to me, and what's going to make me ambitious and what's going to make me happy, and what I need to, you know.
I feel like how could you not be? It had to be tough after success like that to then try and define a success for yourself and not beat yourself up about it. Of like, you might be doing, say One Direction did 100,000 people and you're doing 50,000 people, but most artists might only be doing 30,000 people. But 50,000 compared to 100,000 is like, this is pitiful. And so then you might beat yourself up that you're not successful, but really, you know, I guess it's a perspective thing. So I wonder how difficult that was for him. Sounds like it was fairly easy, but I feel like for most people, or at least myself, I feel like that'd be tough to like break out of that mindset of it. This is still very successful. It's just different kind of success.
Got left to achieve, like I just said.
Usually I go into the, like, how do you define success question later on, but I think a lot of it is tangible in the choices and the moves you made when putting together this next body of work, especially as I remember our last interview. You, even down to how you curated your writing rooms, you didn't curate it with writers, you chose artists, and there's a difference there, correct?
Definitely. And this is, you know, this is me speaking stereotypically. Of course, there are other examples of other professional songwriters who are going to give you everything you want. But through my experience, 9 times out of 10, when you work with professional songwriters, it's their livelihood.
Yeah.
So that means that
I feel like
the more singles they get, you know, the better off they're going to be.
Yeah.
So sometimes you do feel like the air has almost been stained before you've even walked in, because the intentions are different. The intentions are about finding singles and about, so not just finding a single that's going to be really commercially successful, so you're going to get good money off it, etc., etc. Whereas when you work with artists, people aren't thinking about that, and obviously we have the luxury to do that because our job is broader than just the writing, and I understand that we have the luxury to do that. But at the same time,
that's a nice
it means
point
that
to make.
every song, be it, you know, a 2-minute album track or something like Bigger Than Me that kind of feels and sounds like a single, every song gets the attention it deserves, and that's
and
what
you can wait until it's something that means something to you, connects with you, moves you, because if it can do that to you, then it could do that to your audience, versus just being something to make money. But I also really like how he pointed out the fact of like, we have the luxury to be able to do that. We're at a point where I get to do that. Not everybody has that luxury. So like, he's not crapping on people who do just write music to, I mean, like, I'm sure they did that One Direction. You have to for a period, but then you get yourself to a point where now you can do it, you know, exactly how you want it.
I've kind of really benefited from on this record is it just feels like there's so much more soul to it, and I don't mean that in terms of the genre. I mean there's so much more life and honesty because of that.
That makes me excited for
to
it.
Walls, how have you grown as a writer?
I think I've just got more confident, and I've definitely got better as a writer, but I think more confident as an artist, and more a better understanding of who I am
As a person?
as the two are intertwined. They really are. Like, as a person, as an artist, I think, you know, I had a pretty good grasp on who I am as an individual, but it does become a little bit more complex when you're thinking about who you are as an artist, because you're thinking, you know, there is a process in your head where you're trying to place yourself based on past experience, like myself, or also you're looking to other people in the industry and thinking, well, where do I sit amongst that? And it doesn't really work like that. You kind of got to find those things out for yourself, if that makes sense.
Is it hard to come to the right way to phrase this, I think, is like, it's a very mature thing to understand that the only person you should be comparing yourself is yourself.
Yeah, exactly that, yeah.
Is there a moment that you realized that? Have you fully realized it?
Comparison is the thief of joy, I think is how that saying goes. I'm pretty sure it's something like that. Comparison is the thief of joy.
I think so.
You can also forget it too.
I think so. Well, yeah, I do think those things. It's like, and the same. I could say the same about kind of trusting my gut. It's a daily, not a daily struggle, but a daily conversation. Those things you've got to stay on top of those things. But I will say, where I didn't expect to feel this comfortable musically, as a performer, as a songwriter. The last time I sat here when we did that Walls interview, I feel like there's been quite a lot of growth since then. I feel like a slightly different artist, different person.
That's good.
Can you see it in your stage show?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I'd say so. And actually, that was the missing piece of the puzzle for me. Yes, now I'm finally confident about who I am as an artist, and that took some working out. But actually, where the confidence has come from is the consistency of show after show after show after show. And it leaves no room for self-doubt. And I'm so blessed with my amazing crowds that, you know, when you have that many shows and you have such a great atmosphere at those shows, like I said, there's no room for any other thing other than kind of patting yourself on the back and going, well done.
Yeah.
You also command the room. You feel like you're performing just to one person, but there's a massive room of people who are there connected by love and acceptance, and completely and totally judgment-free. I saw you at the YouTube Theater, and it was superb. Really fucking amazing.
Do you know which night it came on? I think it was the weekend. So did you know if it came on the Saturday or the Sunday?
I think I came on the Saturday. I think Claudia will remember.
I'm pretty sure that was the show that my son was at. Anyway, special show, man. Really special show. That was amazing.
I mean, obviously that's top of mind, right? That your son is there.
Say that again.
The fact that your son is in the venue. Do you think about that while you're on stage?
Massively.
Yeah.
That was probably across the 80 odd, and that's not a flex, the 80 odd dates I played this year, I'd say it's probably the most nervous I've been.
Because he was there?
And the irony is, like, you know, bless him, he's such a good lad, and he was so excited, and he brought a little banner, and also he normally is in bed by like 7 o'clock every night, but the show finishes at about 10:30, 11. He stayed up throughout it, absolutely loving it.
Wow.
So obviously I know he's gonna have a good time, but in the back of my mind I'm like, this is the first time my son's gonna see me perform. Like, I better deliver. You know what I mean? He's like a hero up there. So I can't remember.
That has got to be super weird for Louis. Like, I don't know, being up on stage that's just got to be so different, being up there knowing that your child is watching you. Like, just because they view you so much differently than like a spouse or a friend or family. Like, that's your child. That must have been such an interesting experience for him to be performing, for his kid to see him up on stage.
I got really emotional as well the first time I kind of locked eyes with him in the room, because that room's big but it's still like small enough for you to be able to see, and that was emotional, man. That was probably one of the most emotional times I've had on stage. Really, it was amazing. He just beaming. He was so excited to be there.
That's sweet.
Oh, he's gonna remember that forever.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did he give you a review afterwards? Did you ask him how you were?
I did, and I think he just kind of shrugged his shoulders and was like, yeah. But it's funny because I remember having a similar experience with my younger sisters, and young kids, their understanding of all this world it's interesting, because it's only now Freddie's been to that show that he understands that not everyone's dad does what I do, because it's always been normal to him, and it was the same with my younger sisters. It was always normal to them. It's not until they kind of get amongst, like, you know, other friends and other families that they understand that maybe this is a little bit more abnormal than, you know, the average life.
Does seeing him in that venue help add to your definition of success today?
I mean, subconsciously, yes. When you ask the question, of course. But instinctively, I've always been pretty good at kind of, there's a split in the middle. There's my professional life and there's my personal life.
Interesting.
And success, although there will the word will overlap across the two, it's not in those moments like it trying to find the right words, but it doesn't
They're not
really
immediately hand in
when
hand.
I go, for example, when I say on this tour I've just done, we'll do like a maybe 6-week run on like maybe over Europe, and then I've had my work hat on the whole time, and then I'll come back and I'll come spend a couple of weeks with Freddie, and it does feel like I kind of take that work hat off, put my dad hat on, and the two of them are kind of separate, and I kind of love it for that reason.
I think it's needed too.
Yeah.
It's also
I was
healthy.
just about to say, it's, I mean, needed, yes, but it's probably a very good thing that he's able to separate the two like that, because I feel like some people might not even be able to. Like they might want to separate it, and it might be hard to. Like it's hard to maybe leave work at work sometimes, and so it's great that he's able to do that.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah. But it gives me a moment in my life that, you know, fortunately, unfortunately, depending on your interpretation, there isn't a load of normality in my life. So those moments, I cherish those moments, you know, like those dead normal moments of just taking him to the park, which, by the way, I fucking love, because people watching over here in LA is a sport, man. It's fucking funny,
bet.
that shit. So
must be
like, you know,
so
I'll
much
take
fun.
my son and my best mate, he works for me and he's out here with me as well, so we'll go together and we'll take him to the park. Some of the conversations you're privy to, like some of these like young parents over here, they are just, I don't want to say they're mad, but they do chat some funny shit. So I get some mild entertainment out of it as well.
That's the same thing at Disney too. Down here at Disney, I could sit and just sit on a bench and just listen to some of the conversations that happen, either just walking by or people standing there talking on the phone. Like, it's people watching is really fun and interesting.
I'm assuming you don't fit in with the dad group.
Do you know what? I swear to God, like, maybe, fucking hell, it was dead-eye pitch, isn't it? If there's like maybe 40 parents in the park, there's only ever really 2 or 3 dads that I see there. But no, I'm not in the dad crew yet, waiting to be invited.
I mean, you are in your 30s now. We're getting up there.
And I've got grey hair, so I might as well just join the club. Yeah. I'm an old man. I've never wanted to say this.
You keeping a division between home and show and work, that does also allow you to be a rock star, and
It does.
you are doing a rock and roll show up there.
Yeah, well, that's another good thing about it, definitely. Yeah, man, this tour has been like, the shows obviously have been amazing, the crowds have been amazing, but actually everything else that comes with that, there's been a lot of drinking this year, but loads and loads of fun at the same time, man. In my opinion, obviously it's about balance to a degree, but that's how touring should be done, man. It's got to be a bit boozy. It's got to.
The confidence you're exuding, it shows. I see photos of you on the barricade.
Vodka Red Bull's powerful, man.
You allow people to touch you.
Yeah, oh yeah, man. Sometimes it gets pretty crazy.
You've been choked.
Yeah,
It's been
you know what,
choked.
that happened at like one show, and then like, I swear, like every other show now, someone's got their hand on my neck. It got a little bit weird when someone grabbed me dick one show, and like that was a little bit extra. That was a bit too much.
There's always
A
gonna be
little bit?
somebody.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna lie, like even when, like, I don't even know if I should be advocating this, but like without going specific into whatever they do when I'm down there, the feeling that I get when I walk out for the first song and I see the crowd for the first time, that's like 1/10 of the feeling of what I feel when I go down into the pit, because it's just like,
I can't imagine what that energy must feel like. Being, I mean, yeah, up on stage and hearing it, but then like being in the middle of that energy and all like the people, that has to be insane.
like that feeling just kind of bottled up, and it just gets kind of thrown over you, and there's so much energy, there's so much like intensity in those moments. By far my favorite part of the show.
It is gross seeing people stick their fingers in your mouth.
Oh,
That was weird. You see that?
Oh, don't
Yeah,
do that.
man. Oh yeah, I think I watched the video. I thought that was the mic or something. Like I looked a little bit confused in that.
Okay, if anybody has these clips, I want to see these. I have not seen these pictures or clips of, like, if there's a compilation that somebody made or something, like him getting choked and somebody sticking their finger, like, that's the thing. It's fun, but then you get these people that end up taking it too far, and then they end up ruining it for everybody else, because like I'm sure he wants to keep doing this, but you like kind of allow it for a minute, and then it just starts escalating from there. And people like, well, how much crazier can we get before he stops and says something, you know, like, and they start pushing the boundaries too much, and then it ends up stopping or becoming dangerous. And so it's like, I hope that doesn't happen, because it sounds like he really loves it. Sounds like it's probably a lot of fun, and the people that are there participating appropriately are having a great time. But then it's like there's always that one person that starts it that then ends up ruining it for everybody.
Moment. I don't even remember it. That's another thing. Once you're down there, it all happens so quick and it's so chaotic. Like I remember watching that video back. I don't even remember it happening.
But that energy does make you like it changes perspective as it relates to music and impact, and like really understanding who you're performing to. It is wild.
Definitely, yeah. Not quite got round to fully immersing myself in the crowd yet, but maybe next tour.
I mean, to be honest, they're getting very personal and handsy. Like, watch your hands. Like, a little bit.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, no, it gets intense. I will say across South America, different gravy. Like, it was amazing / scary at the same time. Like, yeah, incredible. I had a shirt ripped off me. My shirt, nice fucking Burberry shirt as well it was. Button up. That was my first mistake. I went with the button up shirt and I went down and they literally just pulled it from me and just completely ripped it to shreds.
Oh my God.
That's a weird experience though. It must be different because with One Direction, you guys never got to get that close to the crowd, did you?
No, I think that I feel like in the earlier days, I personally did do a bit of that. I mean, I don't know on what song. Like, you hardly get down on What Makes You Beautiful to immerse yourself in the pit, but maybe. But yeah, it is. I mean, I could probably count on one hand how many times I had an experience even remotely similar to that. But it's by far the best part of the show, and I've seen some of my fans kind of speculating, like, why does he like that? It looks like scary and intense and whatever, but that's kind of why it's exciting. There is an element of danger to it that makes it feel really fucking just amazing. And they like I said before, like, if you think you understand what a feeling of adrenaline is, like, that is like a times 10 in that moment. It's unavoidable. It's on top of you almost.
Lou's getting addicted to adrenaline.
Yeah, man.
Fuck yeah.
Did touring this past album, Walls, did that change your perspective on the music you make moving forward?
Basically, what I feel like I did on this tour was I carried the energy of this new album, Faith in the Future, but obviously only had Walls songs to perform, because one thing we realised when we put the set together is there's not a load of tempo on Walls. So my band had to kind of create these interesting live moments. But I would say almost in reverse. I wouldn't say it's kind of influenced the music I was gonna make. Maybe the live moments, maybe being in those live moments and kind of getting a very literal example for what those moments feel like, I'm sure affected me subconsciously within the writing.
There were also songs that you performed on tour that didn't make it to the album.
Yeah.
Like Change.
Yeah.
Why is that not on there?
Do you know what? I'm sure other songwriters can relate to this. I've got this funny feeling about old, in inverted commas, songs, and especially songs that didn't make the cut for something. So Change was in between Walls and Faith in the Future, but I think I wrote Change maybe 2 or 3 months.
I did Change, right? That was like way before. I think that was like a in between Walls and Bigger Than Me. It was some point in between there, right? Because I'm pretty sure I did that song.
4 months maybe after releasing the first record. It just feels like a moment in time. It's not that I don't think it's good enough for this record, because I do, but it also feels like a moment in time. It feels less appropriate to be on this album. It almost acted as like a transitional song between
that's exactly
album 1
what
and
I was
2.
thinking. That's what seemed
interesting. So, but like,
it was like a bridge.
What was its
song.
purpose on tour?
Well, I did a similar thing with one of my songs, Copy of a Copy of a Copy.
I remember that one. That was one of the first ones I did.
And I think originally the intention was just to play something new. I didn't know if it was going to make it on the record or not. But also, there's a lot of bands that I grew up loving. Like, that's how they would trial their new music.
Yeah,
That's the
totally.
old school way to trial music. Get a very literal example of, do people like it or do they not? Do you see them moving? Do you see them bopping their head? Does it make them feel something?
And are you taking tally of that while you're doing the song?
You're trying to. I would say that when songs don't hit as well, and there was one on tour that we cut, I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. That's when you feel it, because I'm so blessed to have such an amazing atmosphere.
Interesting. I wonder what it looks like to him for people. Well, I mean, I guess it'd be pretty straightforward whether people are going crazy or not so much. But I wonder if that affects how he's playing. If in the moment he starts noticing, yeah, people aren't vibing with the song all that much. If it's like, oh, like people don't like the, you know, like does that affect him and the song and his song making, or, you know, like
99.9% of the time, and when that dips just 1%, you can kind of feel that on certain songs. Totally. And actually, and the fans may disagree with me on that, but but I never felt the same reaction to Change that I did Copy of a Copy. That's why I started to take it out the set, and then in the end, it was never going to make the new record anyway, to be honest. It was a moment in time. Not that I'm done with it, but I feel like I've moved on since then.
So those songs are a moment in time. Are the songs that make up this album more of a timeless air to it, energy to it?
No, I wouldn't say so. There is something about the fact that, because there's other songs, they're like demos that, you know, have crossed the first record and the second record, that it's once they don't make the cut that you've made your mind up on them. It's like people have mentioned I've been asked on this kind of promo run, were there songs on Walls that you didn't include in the album that you might include on this one? But, you know, there's a reason they're not on the first record.
No, you sell those to other artists, right?
Exactly. So yeah, I don't really know. I do think it's a moment in time. I don't necessarily have that feeling about. Well, I was going to say I don't have that feeling about Walls, but I do to a certain degree. I think every album is a moment in time. And especially because as artists, we're constantly evolving, constantly growing. From every song you write, you feel like you learn a bit more. So yeah.
When we look back 20 years, 30 years, by we I mean you, and you listen to this album, what do you think you're going to be able to hear? What images will come to your mind?
I think it'll be, you know, if I often try and think of my career as like a 5-album thing. Hopefully longer, but like I'm trying to look into the future long term on that. I think it'll probably be something that I look back on and say that was the moment that I kind of took control myself musically and really owned my own taste.
Each album is going to have its own season that matches with the season in your life that you were learning and experiencing, and Walls was a specific thing for him in that season, and that album reflected that. And now this album is doing the same thing. So that'll be interesting it's almost like a photo, like on your phone or something, going back for like timelines of like, there's specific groups of photos, at least on my phone, there's specific groups of photos where I scroll through and I'm just like, oh man, I remember what was going on for all of these, that all these photos happened around the same time. And it's like they have their specific times or just memories, except these are going to be more spread out over years versus like maybe every few months or something. But
fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that redirects everything you do moving forward.
Definitely. Yeah, it changes the intention. Yeah.
So what is the intention of this album?
Hope.
Honestly, to be able to sell another tour.
Oh.
To be able to be able to carry on touring, and that will be ask me in 3 years, but I doubt that will change. That's the most important thing to me, is to be able to have these amazing live moments. Because why I love tour, there's so much, I don't want to call it bullshit, but there's so much mystery in my life. Let's say a radio station will say, if you come in and do this interview for us, we might play your record. And then they don't, you know.
Oh, yeah. Breaking news.
Or whatever it might be, you know, a press opportunity or conversations with the record label. All these things where there is an element of mystery, Whereas, and you're hoping that people are going to kind of honor their word. Whereas what's amazing about tour is it's black and white. What you see is what you get. If I come off stage at the end of that show and feel like I gave most of the people in there a good night,
That's it.
then I've done well. And that, it's as simple as that. And that's
And it's
what
in
I
your
love
control,
about
too.
it, man. I love that shit that I'm not trying to read between the lines. There's a very, very literal black and white example of a yes or no answer to the question. Did I have a good night? Did you guys have a good night? Yes, easy as that.
Boom. I
Whereas
did my
sometimes
job.
conversations with radio, record label, etc., you're always reading between the lines, you know?
And it's a cycle.
Worrying about like how you might get screwed over, maybe like if you do an interview with them but then they don't play your song or something, you kind of get
And they're beating around the bush, and they're never giving you straight answers, and ultimately, like, it leads to nowhere.
Yeah.
But and it's also, those are things that are out of your control. You can't account
Exactly.
for whether or not a radio programmer or some label executive is going to champion something. You don't know. But what you do know is that you can go to X city, you can hang out with X amount of people, you can create an experience that will last these people a lifetime, and an experience that you'll carry with you for a very, very
an
long
experience
time.
that you keep
Yeah,
adding to
and
your
that-
repertoire
Just
of experiences.
picking up on what you said there, that, you know, the experience that, or the memories that people are having at these shows, that's something that this year's taught me, and that's also given me a load of confidence, is because I've been able to look into people's eyes, especially on the front few rows, of what these shows actually mean to them, and what these songs mean to them. And, you know, I haven't necessarily heard it in words, but I felt it from them. And that's given me a load of confidence on this tour. That's something that
no
I didn't
radio play
really
can ever do
fully
for you.
understand before this year. I had an idea, but in terms of the level of importance, and you really do feel that, especially since COVID and we all missed live music and we wanted for those moments. Now they came back, and I just felt this, just dead proud, man, dead proud to be able to create these moments for people. Definitely.
Right,
will
like
last
you've made this song, you put all this effort into the song, and then you see it like firsthand how it's affecting people and what it means to people. Like there's no radio play that can do that for you. I mean, the closest you're gonna get maybe is like reading comments, but it's still not the same. It's a faceless comment. So to see it on their face and everything, like that's got to be incredible.
Them forever, and a
hope so.
community that you've cultivated for a very long time, that really, they're brought together by this music. You're big on interpretation, so you don't want to go into the meanings of records, which I totally respect. As art, you know, just like a painting is in the eyes of the beholder,
Yeah,
music is in the ears of the beholder.
Exactly, and what I don't want to spoil the surprise for someone. If someone has got an opinion on what a song means to them, and maybe it actually has a real weight emotionally, and they're like, "This is what that means to me," and then if they ask me, and I was like, "Oh no, it doesn't mean that. It's just about something random."
Right.
Yeah,
It
That
doesn't
Just
kill the
kills whole
dream. Do
thing.
you know what I mean? So I do think it's important to keep those things close to my chest.
A song, well, I want to go to One Direction real quick, and I want to get back into the album. Home. Are you the reason that song ended up coming out? Because it wasn't on an album.
Do you know what? There's a couple of things in,
That's what I love
in my
that song.
career that the fans just give me credit for. Now,
And
You wrote on that.
I think I remember that being one of those things that everyone in the comments said, like, thank Louis for this song or something. I remember there being one of those songs. I'm not sure if that was Home, but I'm guessing with how this sounds, it was probably Home. And I love that song.
That record.
You what?
You wrote on that record.
I wrote that. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's a song that I really like. Did I push for it to be released? I've got a very, very stoner memory. So if I challenge myself for a second, I don't think so. I don't actually think so. Not off the top of my head. I always liked that song.
That's so funny how he's like,
But
my
yeah,
fans
that-
give me
not-
credit
not-
for
not
things.
to my knowledge.
I
Next
didn't
question,
do
that is a theory derived from fans. Have you been leaking your own records?
No. No. There was a time around Walls where I actually seriously thought about it, and it was where I kind of wasn't getting my own way creatively. Maybe single conversations weren't going my way, and I just thought, well, maybe I'll just put it out to the world. That's the luxury of having something like social media. Record labels think they're in control, but I could just put it out there if I want to. So I lost my train of thought, but I think I finished what I was saying. The stoner thing threw me. I just became one.
Cannabis has changed my life. It's an amazing
It's
drug.
fucking amazing, man. It's fucking amazing.
Really, truly.
That took
Giving me a whole new lease
That
in
took such a
perspective on how
turn.
I
It's
It's great
operate.
for perspective, man. Especially in my world, like, you need to be able to switch off in my world, man. It's good for that shit, definitely.
It goes back to like being able to leave things at the door sometimes and like drawing that divide.
Shoot, they better watch their mouth. They're about to convince me. I've never partaken, but with how they're saying it helps them, goodness.
It goes back to like being able to leave things at the door sometimes and like
be able
drawing
to
that divide.
sleep, finally.
Because even with like a work life divide, it allows you to focus on life, which then in turn actually inspires the art you're making.
Definitely. And also those social moments, man, like when you're chilling together, like it's cool, man. It's lovely.
Community.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Well, Faith in the Future is your sophomore
I
album.
was
Does it really
I was about to roast Dan for a second. What are you thinking? I was like, probably nothing.
Community.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Well, Faith in the Future is your sophomore album, but does it really feel like a sophomore album for you?
Educate me. Is sophomore an American term?
Yes. So it means second album.
Second album.
But is it related to education, or am I just assuming that?
No. It is. You're assuming correct.
Okay.
Freshman, sophomore,
Okay.
junior, senior year of high school.
Okay, I'm learning. Okay.
So that's like between middle school and college.
okay, cool.
But they always say
Just-
there's so much pressure on a sophomore album, but for you, it's almost like it's not. It is, but it isn't.
And it was something I thought about going into the second album, because that is something that people say, and there's obviously a certain pressure with the second record. I think my situation is quite specific, and coming out of a band like One Direction obviously brings its own pressures to then the first record that you make. So it almost felt like in reverse for me. The thing is with new bands or new acts with their first album, sometimes they'll have a very clear identity, and then you've got to work out on the second record, do I evolve, do I keep the similar identity what I had before, etc, etc. Whereas with me, it kind of went the other way around. I took baby steps on the first record, or at least on half of it, in terms of showing who I want to be as an artist. And it wasn't until I kind of got through that whole process that I thought, it's time to start fully kind of matching what I love in terms of taste in music. So I haven't felt. I felt much more pressure on that first record, definitely, because there's and that's another thing with the tour. That it's not that I don't feel like I can't lose right now, but if I don't win on radio, if I don't get radio support, if my record label decided tomorrow that they didn't want to be with me anymore, etc, etc, I still have me fans and I still have me tour.
You could literally sell huge venues forever. You could release music forever, own every aspect of your music forever.
Yeah.
If anything, you could I can argue to say you'd be in a much better, you'd make a lot more money.
Yeah. Well, that was something. It was something before I signed with BMG. That was something that I actually thought about, kind of going out independently.
Because he's got the fan base for it.
But it's difficult. You often look to the future. No pun intended. When you're thinking about this, and actually, what I didn't want to do is go out on my own and then be sat on my rocking chair when I'm 60, 70 going, maybe I should have actually had one more go with the major label. And actually my experience today, we'll see how we feel in a couple of years' time, but it's been really, really positive with BMG.
Yeah, because you're also amazing and you fucking work, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
many people don't
also probably knew what to look for, what to negotiate with. What he probably knew a lot more going into it, so he could negotiate a much better deal for himself. He also had some leverage now, being who he is and all of that. And it also probably would have been scary as if he didn't get a record label, trying to go out independently and worrying about what if this flops, because then it's like it's hard to recover from that. Versus I feel like there's probably a bit of a safety net with the record label. And so instead of adding more stress of also being independent, it's like I'm fine giving away a percentage just to ensure that this works.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah. I've been here, there, and everywhere this week, to be fair.
It's thoughts and prayers.
Thank you.
It is crazy, and the amount of respect I have for you is fucking tremendous.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Because you genuinely don't. There's so many artists who have not even achieved what your pinky toenail has achieved, who would throw hissy fits out the ass to go to any of the cities that you've traveled to in the last week. And like, I just have the most respect. It just means a lot. And also, like, you're cultivating relationships, so they better play your fucking record.
Too right, man.
Well, what we did kind of talk about that before we started. Like, what made you want to go to all these cities around America to promote the music? Because you really don't need to.
Yeah, a combination of things. I didn't expect to have a song like Bigger Than Me. I didn't have one on the first record, and what I mean by that is a real good chance at having a good, in inverted commas, single. You know what I mean?
I thought that Walls was a single for Walls.
That's fucking hell! I just completely lost my train of thought. Sorry, what did you just ask?
I was asking why you decided to go across America.
Right. So, two things. So, I thought if we've got this song Bigger Than Me that in my opinion, feels like a good play, let's really try and, give it everything we've got. And something I'd done on tour, and I'm going to do on the next tour as well, is try and play more, as well as the main markets, try and play more secondary markets as well. So that was kind of the intention with radio, is kind of getting out to other places. Now, the bottom line is, these radio stations that I went down to, everyone's been great and everyone was lovely. But the reason I've gone there is to go and see the fans in those places. So
I feel like it's a lot more personal.
Maybe
in
the
smaller
majority
places like
of
that.
those radio stations, we did listening parties. So fans were there and they got to listen to 3 or 4 of the new songs. So it's mostly about kind of
More
giving
like-
fans who live in one of the secondary markets, in inverted commas, as we call it in the industry, just giving them that opportunity.
Probably building more of that community and allowing for a much more personal experience, not only with them, but for him. So he can see much more firsthand, get that feedback of the songs and how they're being received and people are relating to them and all that stuff, versus a massive stadium where people are going to probably be cheering no matter what. So you probably can't get a great read on it.
Do I need to do that? Maybe not, but me record label are very good at kind of telling me that I do.
At the end of the day, you've already done it, and it doesn't hurt, and you build relationships with the people who live there, and truly with the radio stations.
Yeah.
It goes a long way.
Yeah, well, yeah, I hope so. But it's. I love traveling anyway. I mean, there's been a lot of traveling in the last couple of weeks, but it's just good to. It's good to see so many different fans in so many different places, definitely. And also make them feel seen.
Right.
Just because they don't live in New York or LA doesn't mean I'm not going to come down and say hello.
Right,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
Have you felt or had the idea or the thought or the want to bring Away From Home to other cities all over the world?
Yeah, so that is the Away From Home, that's the name, mate. It always moves about.
Yeah, okay.
You've obviously not got the pun, have you? We need to work better on that. So we started in London.
Spain.
Then we went to Spain. All right. You do know your shit.
You did your
Then we went to
research.
Spain. And then next year, I don't know why, in my head, it's coming to America, not next year, but year after. I don't know why, just instinctively, that's where it's going to be.
But where?
I would love, I don't want to say anywhere, because then if it doesn't go, I have somewhere in mind.
Ooh.
Is it somewhere like we wouldn't expect?
I don't know.
It's like he
I don't
doesn't
know.
want to say something that would then lock him down, because then those people, it's like he would get people excited for whoever lives there, whatever. Those people would get excited, and then if it doesn't end up happening, then like they're looking forward to this thing for a year or something, and then it doesn't happen. So it's like he doesn't want to give false hope.
It depends. For me, the most important thing out of that, the most important thing out of that is that it feels like that it's grown since this year, which is going to be a challenge because it felt pretty big this year. Where we're going to take it next, and all I care about is that it's, easily enough accessible for the fans to get to, and also for the bands to play, and just somewhere visually that looks cool. But not really. I've not really got into exactly where.
How do you curate that set?
I'd love doing
lineup?
that, man. It's so sick. What, putting the set list together?
Yeah.
The band list. What do you call it?
Lineup.
There we go. Fucking hell. Yeah, it's something it's to put on a festival. It's always been a dream of mine. It's an idea I had in the band, never quite materialised. Then the first time we did it in London last year was a free gig, and it was essentially just thank you to the fans, but also celebrating live music being back post lockdown and stuff like that. Now, putting the bands together for me, like I said before, something I've always kind of dreamed of being able to do, having that kind of control and putting a show on that's basically just all the stuff that I love. And that's what I did. Instead of kind of really trying to have too much finesse with what I was doing, it wasn't like I was trying to create a lineup that kind of fits in the middle of what I think the fans love and what I love. I just went with fully what I love. And what was amazing about that process was I watched every band in Spain, and the crowd's reaction. A couple of bands, they weren't so sure at the start, but by the end, everyone's moving, and that made me feel really proud, man. It gave me an opportunity to go, here's all the music I love, take it or leave it, and they took it. They loved it.
Dude, tastemaker, but also in the same breath, giving opportunity to bands that really wouldn't get that type of opportunity to be in front of that size of a crowd.
Maybe not at this stage in their career.
100%.
Exactly, and that's something that it's
really special.
It's really sweet of him how he immediately points out to clarify of just at this stage they have all the potential, whatever, to get this on their own later, but at this stage in their career, he's it's more of humility from his part, that it's not like his is so big and they're lucky to be on his stage. No, it's no, just in this stage of their life, or in this stage of their career, yes.
Yeah, man, it's always been important to me, that stuff. I think there's an element of
it's like giving
not
back.
Guilt, but because I came up in the way that I did through a reality show and obviously in the band, and that I just feel like it makes sense for me to give back. I of course worked really hard to get to where I've got to, but also there was an element of luck in there, right place, right time, like everyone. So as much as I can kind of help with those things. But also, like I said before, I'm a fan of these bands, so I get to watch them live for free.
It's two birds, one stone.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited for it to come to America. I'm inviting myself. Do you actually have a penguin tattooed on your ass?
I do, yeah.
Let's see it.
Really?
Just kidding.
I just looked straight at the camera there. I do. Will I show you it on camera? No, but I will say I'm going to speculate. They've got a lot of little ones. I want to say I've got between 30 and 40 little tattoos. I don't regret one of them except for that penguin on my ass.
Really?
It's the...
we're about to get into it. I feel like you get him a few drinks, maybe a couple few, off camera, of course. I feel like you could get him to show you.
I don't regret one of them except for that penguin on my ass.
Really?
It's the least sexy thing in the world. Whenever comes the time that I do actually take me fucking trousers off, it's not fucking sexy, that shit, man.
Do you tell somebody before you take your pants off, hey, just so you know, you're gonna see something?
A little warning label. Yeah, I probably should, but no, I don't.
Label.
Actually, I don't.
Well, someone's gonna love you for you.
Hey, well, exactly.
And
exactly.
penguin included.
It was one of those things, man. It felt funny at the time.
And it's
I
not
think I
funny.
lost a bet, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do it." I could obviously have got out of it, but it's really weird as well. Like a penguin, and he's got headphones on. I don't know why.
That's
it's
cute.
a penguin with headphones on my ass cheek.
So he can't hear.
I'd want to know how big. Are we talking a penguin this big, or is it this little tiny? Because if it's that big, that's really what he should have done for a bet or whatever, or a day or whatever it was. Just do a little guy. But if it's whole half of his, then
Just so it can muffle out the sound of you
Getting
the word
that just clicked with Zach 10 minutes later.
What are you thinking over there?
But with the song, is it challenging to sing live because the chorus is very big?
It's fucking hard, man. It's really hard. It's times I remember the first few times I sang it and I just thought I've written this. Why didn't I just write it a bit easier? You know what I mean?
I did this to myself.
It's definitely the most challenging song I've ever had to sing vocally. But with that brings its own challenge. It gives me an opportunity that when I am on the ball, it gives my vocal a chance to shine, which actually on the other songs, there's not loads of moments like that. Sometimes I kind of hide behind the melody, or have done in the past, whereas there's no hiding behind a chorus like that. So it is hard to sing, but it's almost more nerve-wracking because you understand the kind of what it takes vocally. So kind of getting yourself into that mental prep, you're always thinking about how big that chorus is.
Did this song feel different when you were writing it in terms of like, because now your label thinks it's a single, it is much bigger. Did it feel different when you were creating it?
I distinctly remember when we landed on the chorus melody, and I think at that time we had the title when we're going on the day of writing it, and it did feel really exciting because, like I said, I didn't have a song like this on Walls, so I had a really good feeling about that song from the off. I probably shouldn't share this, but fuck it. Like when I first played it to record label, like a couple of them actually said that it was like too alternative. Now,
really,
when you hear the rest of my record, I think Bigger Than Me is one of the more, I hate using this word, one of the more pop moments, one of the more slightly more down the middle moments. So it was kind of, it's funny the way that sometimes I feel like you just put a few guitars on something and record labels just go, oh, now it's alternative.
Right.
That is true.
Exactly.
Yeah, it really is. But you know, I had an amazing feeling in the room on that day, but I almost feel better about it now, only because I've had a couple of times, not loads, but sometimes when you have a really good atmosphere in the room when you're writing, it can properly blind you, and you'll think you've written an unbelievable song, and then you come back to it in 2 days' time and it's just nowhere near as good as you remembered. So I have been conscious of that feeling of kind of being excited in the studio and hoping that actually it's as good as you think it is in that moment. But yeah, I feel really good about this song.
I do see you as more of an alternative artist. I don't
Thank you.
want to put music or art.
Who did he say?
I do see you as more of an
do
alternative
see,
artist. I don't
Thank you.
want to put music or art into any box, but like when I saw the show, listening to Walls, listening to what I have of this new body of work, alternative.
Yeah, here's the thing. That
I wouldn't say alternative yet, but we haven't seen the new album yet. So, and judging by how Bigger Than Me sounded, it could be. I wouldn't be surprised. And that's also seems to be the direction that he kind of wants to go. But just off of what we've heard so far, because I haven't heard anything else off of the album besides Bigger Than Me. I don't think he's released anything else yet, but what's his face? Zach said he had heard other songs off of there. But to me, he's not really alternative yet.
That is who I am as a person. It's who I want to be as an artist. It's perception, man. People have this preconceived idea of who I am as an artist before they've even heard a song of mine. So that is what I'm up against. You know, like for example, even trying to get on like alternative radio over here, like in the UK, like no fucking chance. It's so fucking hard. Really fucking hard over here as well because of perception, and those things are challenging for me coming out of One Direction. It's who I am as a person.
The image you give off. Because people are going to think of you as a pop artist or a boy band or whatever. And so then if that radio station says they're playing you, they don't want to like alienate their audience or whoever's listening, or they don't want people to change the station or something. And so then you have a hard time getting out of that mold of boy band or pop star or whatever.
Yeah, you are alternative, you are rock and roll. It exists in you, but also in your shows and the music. And I think it is twofold, right? Like here in America, the alternative radio format has gone to such shit that it's mostly a goal-driven format, meaning they play a great deal of old music that goes really far back in catalog. So when you look at like an hour by hour breakdown of like new songs to old songs,
it's all
because
old songs.
They've destroyed the format as a whole, they've had to rely more on like playing fucking Weezer's, blue sweater or whatever the fuck for literally the millionth time.
Right.
So it is perception, but also radio here has gone to total shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, I mean,
It really
who listens
has.
to
Yeah.
radio anymore?
It really has. But you are alternative. You create fucking music that is, and I don't want to put anything in the boxes, but like when I listen to your records, they don't scream pop, but also in the same breath, pop is not a genre. It's a collection of different songs from all formats that funnel into pop music.
Yeah,
Do you get what I'm saying?
I agree with that. I agree with
yeah.
that. I do think sometimes, and maybe it's the wrong kind of description, but sometimes you're right in what you just say about pop there, but I have to hear those words because instinctively it almost just means safe to me.
Yep.
That's how I interpret it in my head. You're right in
Safe.
what you say.
be-
But instinctively, kind of on the surface, when I'm thinking about something that is pop, because like even if I'm thinking in the context of a film, like if it's too pop, I don't mean it's too popular. I just mean it's too safe.
yeah,
Do you know
totally.
what I mean?
Too vanilla.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very
vanilla,
cookie cutter.
perfect,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
Cookie
you're not
cutter
cookie cutter.
vanilla.
No chance.
People are shoving their fingers down your throat at concerts.
Yeah, it gets intense, man.
I've seen.
Maybe you just got to pick up a guitar and play guitar on stage and be like, now he's a rock star.
Yeah, well, honestly, do you know, sometimes this industry kind of is funny like that. That might be all it takes. I do actually need to. I've been playing guitar loosely for the last 4 or 5 years. I've stayed at level 1 for the last like 5 years, but I've been telling myself maybe on next tour I'll bring it out for a couple of tunes. Just about being brave enough in that situation.
You nervous?
Like anything like that, you know. It's I'm comfortable doing the way I do it now.
It's outside
So
of
just
your
to add
comfort
another
zone,
element to it would be kind of scary. But I can't. That's how I picture myself. Like in me, if I'm speculating about where I want to be in 5 years, 10 years, I've got a guitar in my hand. Ideally, it's just about being brave enough to get up and use it.
We started this conversation, even I think before we started on air, about you got to challenge yourself. You got to get out of your comfort zone.
Exactly that, man. Yeah.
It's how you win. It's how you grow. It's how you strive.
Yeah, I agree.
You got to listen to Faith in the Future, Louis Tomlinson's most recent body of work. There's going to be a link in the description below.
Wait, hold
Do
on.
you end
Hold on. How is there a link in the description below? Because I thought it wasn't out yet. I thought Just Bigger Than Me was out. So I'm minorly confused on that.
Releasing the track list because Amazon Music leaked it by accident.
Yes.
I'm sorry. On behalf of Amazon Music, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone got a lighter? No, I'm joking. Although, honestly, it begs belief sometimes, that kind of thing. You just like, I remember getting the call, and I'm just like, well, what the fuck do you mean? They've put the fucking track listing out there. So yeah, we had to just kind of jump the gun and go, well, here it is.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, it's what it is, man. It's what it is.
Well,
I
because
feel
make
like
mistakes.
people make mistakes, but I feel like when it's something that big and a company that big and things that high up, it's like, I don't know. Is there some type of a, like, I don't know what you call it, not a refund, but like some type of a, there's a better word for it, but something that they give back as like an apology to him? Or is it just like, oops?
Thanks, I suppose.
Well, because people then get these titles and they're building stories, and there is hype around these records before they even come
Yeah, people
out.
start to expect things.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
You have no idea till it happens.
I don't know. I suppose it's good and bad.
Yeah. It
Instinctively,
it could work in your favor.
when it first when the titles first came out,
You
I was
freaked.
devastated. I was not devastated. That's being dramatic, but I was frustrated. But you're right. Just get people talking about it. Just get people's brains thinking, what does this title mean, and blah blah blah. But at the time, I was fucking fuming. I'm not gonna lie. But it is what it is. I'm over it now.
We move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing.
Faith in the
nothing
Future
you
is the
can do about
album.
it.
I'm just looking at my notes here. Am I missing anything? Like, I mean, the Mystery Van. Do you still own the Scooby-Doo Mystery Van?
Do you know what's fucking so shit about that? Honestly, there's certain things when I was younger and I speculated what this world might be like, and it wasn't thinking about things like this. So me and Zane got it together. So I think I was like 20 and he was like 19. We got this white like builder's van and we wrapped it as the Mystery Machine. Do you know the irony? I don't even love Scooby-Doo. Like I don't mind it, but like it was just like a funny thing to do. So I was like, alright, fuck it. And we built like, do you know where the window wipers, the the jet for the wipers.
Yes.
So it's like this big, and it's got 2 little fucking nozzles. We had them on side at van facing out, so you could press a button on the van to squirt water at passers by. It was genius, man. Anyway,
What?
so we'd had the van about a month, and then fucking whoever owns Scooby-Doo, God knows, some greedy fucker,
They always.
sent management an email saying, unless you agree to ABC,
No way.
it's a copyright infringement and you have to take it off.
What the? But you're not making money off. It's for your personal use.
I'm not gonna lie. When we were in One Direction, the fact that One Direction are going around it—that's good promo.
That's
I don't-
exactly what I was just thinking. That's like, isn't that Nickelodeon that did Scooby Doo or something? I have no idea. I never watched it, but my guess would be Nickelodeon. But exactly, you're getting free. I'd be like, thanks.
care how big Scooby-Doo is. But honestly, like, and in the end, we spat our dummies out, me and Zane. We're like, fuck it then. We drove around in like a white builder's van for a while.
Because that's not creepy.
little bit suspect. But yeah, it was just a mad one. Like, crazy
We were
fuckers,
just a
man.
mad one.
Madness, isn't it?
Pieces of shit. Please listen to Faith in the Future. You and Zane are still friends, yeah? You got like there's a.
I think it would like this last interview, like last time when I
What?
spoke about it before. Are we friends? You'd have to ask him. Like, I feel like I've. I think last time, I could be wrong, but I believe I said, when you asked me a similar question before, I believe I said, I don't think I'm mature enough to kind of get over.
I do
Maybe I'm
remember
getting confused,
that.
but in my head,
No,
I
you
thought I
did.
said,
That does sound
I don't think I'm
familiar.
mature enough to kind of get over what's frustrated me in that relationship. I don't know if I'm mature enough now, but I'm definitely closer to kind of being over all that. There's been numerous
So
times.
if the bridge was here and he wasn't mature enough yet, the bridge is like here. It's not there yet, but it's closer.
Over the last couple of years where I've thought about him and hoped he's all right. So, and I've tried. It's hard. I've tried to get in touch with him, but it's hard. Those kind of things. But I definitely wish him well.
Well, he's been posting some clips of One Direction songs on Instagram, and you've been liking them.
Well, there you go. You've done your research there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
The You and I high note.
Huh?
The You and I high note.
Come on, man.
Oh.
He's a different caliber in terms of singer. Saying definitely, I will say that. Yeah, and do you know what? Were really nice. That it wasn't. It wasn't just what's the word? Like aimless. I wasn't just liking it for the sake of liking it. I'd say it was a nice feeling because in the past he said what he said about the band, and I understand some of what he was saying, but for me that he on those videos, it showed he was reflecting. It showed he was thinking about those times. Of course, at the same time, showing off his incredible voice. But that's why it made me feel good, because it was like, oh, maybe you're thinking about good times in the band. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like as you grow and you look back, things do take on new meaning.
Yeah.
Plus,
Yeah,
if he's still you don't know how long it took him if he was reeling from, everything that happened from that, and however long that took him to get over it, become okay with it, and then be able to look back on it fondly. It took him this many years. I don't know how. 12. Well, depends on when he left, but around 12, years or so. Or well, not since he left. That's like from the start of them, right? I don't know. However many years it's been. That took time, and so to get over it and then now be able to look back. Anyways, I don't remember where I was going at.
Grow and you look back, things do take on new meaning.
Yeah, definitely.
But also some end up seeing the past a little bit differently than others.
Yeah, that's true. I think in time. The thing is, we just have to bump into each other because neither of us have each other's number. I suppose maybe social media might be the way. But,
Slide
yeah.
into the DMs.
Exactly. Yeah. Fucking hell. I think I know him too well.
I feel like it would be that. I feel like it would be that hard for them to get each other's numbers. I mean, I'm sure Harry, Niall, or Liam have you know, like they each have enough amongst themselves that they could get everybody's number.
Like a little bit. You drove in a white painter's van together? You
Do you know
owned
what
it
I
for a
mean?
sec?
Yeah, we go way back, man. You remember me, right?
We got that van together? I gotta ask. That Liam Payne, Logan Paul thing.
You're brave. I fucking rate you for bringing this up, right? Remember what you're going to say.
Wait, hold on.
But I'm glad you brought this up.
Hold on. Before he gets it, why did he say you're... Oh, he's brave for bringing it up. Okay, I'm actually glad he brought it up. This is going to be interesting.
Right? Remember what you're going to say. But I'm glad you brought this up.
Why?
Because my great, great fans that helped me not miss a trick... You know what I'm going to say? They said, and to be fair, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad because when I first went online and I seen like the fans
People
like saying obviously
minds
like you'd said something about Liam, I was like waiting for it to listen. It wasn't too bad. It was that one tweet, was it?
Yes.
Which you now obviously feel really bad for because you know you're a good person with a good heart and you don't want to shit on someone like Liam.
No, so here's the deal.
I'm joking. I'm enjoying watching you fluster, man.
he was expecting this and he was nervous. He knew it was
No, because
coming.
truly,
Wait,
you know, when you look back.
I don't know what Zach said. I was hoping they were going to bring it up. It sounds like Zach tweeted something about... He sounds like he was shitting on Liam a little bit because of that interview. I don't know what he said, but...
Back at life, there's things you regret that you've said, and that is one of the things that I regret tweeting, mainly because when you watch that video, you can see... If you really watch and you really give it time and you choose not to just live on the surface and look into his eyes in that video and really try to understand where he's at, it's somebody who's genuinely hurting. It's somebody who's genuinely confused. It's somebody who is still very much processing. Is somebody who is still navigating life, but also processing the past. And that's hard.
Yeah.
And I knocked somebody while they were, in my opinion, like going through.
You kicked him on the floor, essentially.
I did, and that's
I like how
incredibly
Lou's
wrong
going
of me. And from that moment, I have learned completely, and I would never in a million years do something like that again. Because really, truly, I tweeted while I watched on the surface as opposed to really understanding what was going on there and really what we were all witnessing.
And also thinking about the person, you know, and I hear what you're
totally.
saying. And we all make the mistake of having these judgments when we watch videos or whatever it might be. And let me say, you know, this job is fucking challenging at times, mentally, very fucking challenging at times. And I know no one who's listening to this wants to fucking hear that because, you know, we've got it good. I appreciate that. But at the same time, there are times where it is challenging mentally. And all I'll say on that, and I don't really want to comment too much on it, but all I'd say on that was, I think, which of those annoying Paul brothers was it?
Logan.
Right. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing, the buttons he was pressing, and that's what I took away.
I don't even... It's been a while since I've seen that interview, but I don't really think Logan pushed that many buttons. He just... I don't remember thinking, like, oh, he's trying to dig here, trying to get a headline or something. I just recall him asking a question. Liam was drunk, so there's that. But then even what he said, it wasn't even that bad. From what I feel like people blew up about it, and then other people saw that blow up, so then they went into it thinking that he said something terrible, and then with what he did say, they just were like, oh, well, that was it, and so then they blew it up even more. And it was like, if everybody had just watched it by themselves and not had seen the internet give them this already biased idea that it was this terrible thing, I don't think it would have blown up that much because I remember everybody in the comments, or well, not everybody, there were a lot of comments because I made a post about should I react to it, and a lot of people were it was actually pretty split, people saying that it wasn't that bad, and then other people saying that like they were done with Liam. And so I was like, oh my goodness. And so I ended up watching it just on my own, and I was like, I don't I don't see what's so like abhorrent about what he said. I mean, maybe there was a little bit of like, but I don't know. I was shocked that this is what everybody was so up in arms about.
Exactly what he was doing, the buttons he was pressing, and that's what I took away from it. I just thought whoever's involved in that show, that annoying Paul brother himself, whoever the other weird guys were, it just felt disrespectful. That's all I'd say. And it just and they got so much out of it, as if he hadn't got enough already. I fucking hate them Paul brothers.
All right then, Lou. I mean, wow. I've never heard him get like so aggressive towards. I mean, I'm no like Paul brother like fanboy. I mean, Jake drives me up the walls, but I don't know. I feel like Logan's better, and Mike drives me up the walls too. But the other one, George, I mean, I'm surprised that Louis is like coming at them so hard, because really I can understand that for Mike. I don't know.
You've got the look of a man who's friends with both of them.
No. I can promise you right now that Jake Paul blocked me on Twitter. I am his greatest hater. I am the loudest. I scream on the rooftop.
Oh, that's great, man. That's great.
Oh,
that's great.
There's a special place in hell waiting for Jake Paul.
I knew I liked you, though.
Yeah,
even that. No, I don't like Jake either, at all. He's really obnoxious, but I think saying something like that, there's a special place in hell for. It's not like he's a criminal. He's annoying and he's immature and he's obnoxious, but it's not like he's I don't know. That I really don't like that. I feel like that's excessive and unnecessary. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, even with, I'm sure Jake has done somewhat illegal stuff, but like, he doesn't necessarily hurt people. He just annoys them. So for him to say he deserves hell because of that, it's like,
man, that's great.
Oh,
that's great.
There's a special place in hell waiting for Jake Paul.
I knew I liked you, though.
Yeah, I appreciate you having this conversation with me, as I genuinely regret that tweet. And
as you should.
Liam Payne, I'm so deeply sorry. And if I see you in any situation, or in a situation
if you see
like this,
him, you're going to
apologize.
You're going to apologize and also offer to buy him a new pair of trainers.
Whatever. That done.
Deal?
Done.
All right, cool. I like that. Nice.
Wow, just like that. Final thoughts here?
Yeah, this is your second album, and Take Me Home was One Direction's second album. Does it feel at all the same, or does it just like feel completely different going into a second album?
This whole experience has felt so drastically different to my solo career. I mean, to the One Direction days. Around that second album, we just had the amazing success of the first album. We as a band didn't really have that second album thing where we were nervous because it was already so big by then. Everything just felt different. You know, I would say appreciate everything more now, but that's also probably down to my age as well. I was dead young when that album came out. I must have been about 20, so like 10 years ago.
Wow.
But yeah, I would say the two feel kind of like very, very different. But now you've said that, I'm going to find the right time to listen to a bit of that album, see if I can get myself in that old dead space. Fucking hell, that feels like a lifetime ago now.
I can't believe it was 10, 12 years ago at this point.
Yeah,
that's insane.
It's crazy, man. That is crazy.
That would be interesting
Louis
for him
Tomlinson,
to go back and
I appreciate
listen to
you beyond.
second album.
Thanks for having me on.
Hopefully for every album, you find it in your schedule while you're
Is that a dig?
Well, no, what? No, between Chattanooga.
Yeah.
And
Because I know we rescheduled this once or twice.
No.
Yeah, I thought that was a little dig.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're so in the know.
Yeah, man.
Why are you're so,
Come on, man.
No, it wasn't a dig. I swear to you. And we can literally. You're one of my favorite guests to ever have on the show,
thank
and
you,
I thank you for always giving us not only like really incredible time, but the most honesty, and you come totally as you are, and I have an insane amount of respect and appreciation and admiration for you. So I just thank you for doing that, and then also thank you for being true to yourself and making music that is an extension of your actual being, and doing it because you feel like you need to, not because like the business tells you to do
Yeah,
it.
exactly, man. Exactly. Well, thanks for having me on. And honestly, man, like I said to you before, like it just feels dead natural, man. It's nice for me to be able to do interviews where I can feel like I can be completely myself. And also, I know a couple of them are probably still a little bit grumpy about that Liam tweet, but the rest of the fans, they love this shit, man, 'cause it's dead real. It's honest.
Thanks. We try, and
Your fans have been asking for a follow-up from the first one
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah,
So-
because that was great, man. That was great. Hopefully this one will be, that's good.
I think so.
Hopefully, maybe.
judge it in the comment section below. But also while you're down there, please listen
All
to
right.
Faith in the.
All right, I think that is it. So once again, another good interview with Louis and Zach. I think Louis sounds a lot more confident, a lot more happy. He looked a lot more happy. He just seemed like there wasn't even an. Not that in the last one he seemed like he was in a bad this or that. This one he just seems really excited. Like he's doing what he loves. He's in the middle of what he loves. He's excited for this new album. He knows it's like he found his sound, basically. He found what he wants to do. It's working. Things are just going well. He looks like he's in a really great season in his life. And that makes me happy for him. He also seems confident as well, like very confident in the fact that he knows what he wants to do and he's doing it. Whereas Walls, he was like excited, but he was still trying to figure things out. So he was doing what he wanted to do, but wasn't sure necessarily what direction. He was still getting things settled. Now it's like he's settled and he's like, yep, this is it. I found it and I'm enjoying it. So that's great for him. Also some good questions, some good, back and forth. Went off the rails a little bit at the end there, in my opinion. But outside of that, I enjoyed the interview a lot. And it was great to hear him chat. Makes me excited for this album too. I don't think I've seen the track list name yet. I haven't looked at that. So I'm excited to hear it and see what he did with it and the sound and everything. Especially thinking in comparison to like Walls. Not that I want to like compare it to Walls, but to a degree, I'm going to compare it to Walls of just more in terms of progression and growth and improvement is more why I want to compare it to Walls. But anyways, that's it for this whole interview. Let me know what you guys thought of it, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.